Hey guys, wanted to do a quick training today because I get asked this question quite a bit. How do we move one section from one page to another? Now there's a couple of different ways to do this and it depends on whether you have code editor access or not. But I'm going to show you how to do this without code editor access because everybody seems to get really hung up and think, oh, it's going to take me forever and I'm never going to be able to do this. But I wanted to show you sometimes it's actually quicker to redesign a block or a section than it is to open up code editor access, grab the code that you need to, pop it into the new and make sure that everything aligns and it's all okay. So let's quickly run through how we would do this. So let's say that we are on our page and this particular section that we have where we're collecting leads, so it's a form and an image and some text, and we have another page in Kajabi, let's just say I just grabbed any old page, and instead of having this form that we have down the bottom on this one, we wanted to use something, let me just move my head out of the way, something like this one, okay, instead, because we like this one, this works really well. So how would we go about recreating that? Now, the quickest and easiest way to do this, I'm going to show you, is get two screens up, okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to have the block or the page where you have the section or the block that you love and you want to be able to put that onto another page. You're going to have that page open up on the left-hand side so it sits behind. And then you're going to have the page that you're currently working on where you want to transfer it to open on the right-hand side. And here's what you're going to do. Okay, so we can see if we go back and have a look at this particular section here, if I click on the section and I scroll to the top, all it is an image and a form. So let's go and how would we redo this? So currently we've got this opt-in form there. Let's just say we want to hold on to that for now. We don't necessarily want to delete it. We just want to go and see if we can pop in the new one. So it's really simple. You're just going to do exactly the same thing. So I would probably just go, let's start with an inline opt-in form because effectively that's what it is. It's an inline opt-in form. And we're going to click OK. And so now we can see we have our form, but we also need to get an image block. So let's go and throw the image block in there first of all. So click image, okay, and it's going to come up going, oh, here's how big the image is. No, we don't want to do any of that. We're going to click onto the image of the one that we want to transfer over, and I can see that it's a column width of 2. And here's my image. Now, the quickest way to do this is because quite often when we've built these, we've gone and popped our image somewhere safe in our Dropbox or our Google Drive. And I find, for me personally, it takes me just as long to go and find the image to put into a new section as it does to do this. And this is what I do. I right click on the image, I go save image, and I'm going to throw it on my desktop. And it can just be anywhere for now. So I try to make sure that I always clear my desktop off for when I'm doing this so that we can delete all these afterwards. So now I know that the image is a width of 2. I've got the image over there saved. What else did I do in this block or this section? So there's nothing for the background. The desktop layout, I can see that I did actually fiddle with some spacing. Okay, cool. Let's go over. Here's our image. We're going to drop it down to a 2. We're going to say we want to add a new file. I'm going to just grab it from my desktop, pop it in, and time yourself when you do this. You're actually going to be surprised how fast it actually it is to just quickly redo this block as opposed to open up code editors, like I said, and go and fiddle with the code and pop it in. Scoot on down to your desktop layout and just set it exactly the same as what you can see in the other one. So we're going to pop this as a -65. I'm going to make it flush. Okay. And then I'm going to pop back out, and we know that the image was first. So I'm going to pop that back to being first. Okay. What else have we got? So for the whole section itself, let's have a scoot on down so we can see there's no background image, but there is a background color. Okay, let's open up the background color. We're going to grab the hex code color. We're going to do exactly the same over here. Open up the background, scoot on down to the background color, pop in our hex code, go okay. Now we've got our background done. Obviously we've done something with the sizing because it's much smaller. Open up your desktop layout. open up the desktop layout. I can see that I've got it to a size 40 and I've got it to a 0. Okay, so let's pop those in and we can see things are starting to do what they need to do. Now let's go and fix up our form. So what styling and what options have we got in our form? So the form is set to a block of 10. I can see the form that I've chosen here. So I'm going to click on my form. It's already set to a column of 10. Great, I don't need to do anything with that. So let's just type in the name of the form that you want. Choose your form. Pop over to where you have your text block. Open up the source code. Just highlight the whole lot. Copy it. Pop back over into your new one, open up the source code, select it all, paste in what you had, okay, click off it, all right, so we can start to see that things are happening. And obviously because the font is different, this is going to look different, but that's okay for now. I just wanted to show you how you transfer it across. Okay, so then we're going to go down. We can see that we've made the form in line. What did we do to the button? Great, we have particular text set up for the button. So let's scoot on down to the button. We're going to place our text in. We can see that the button background is a certain color. The button text is also a certain color, so we'll pop that in, okay? The button style, oops, it would help to not do that, is solid. And there's no other changes or anything that's been made to that, other than for this one, we can see that it has square edges. So we would set the border radius to 0. Okay, so what else have we got? Background, there's nothing done there. Desktop layout, okay, again, we have some padding or spacing that we've changed up. So for this one, the background, this one is actually set to a background of white, but that's not what we have in here. So we want to get rid of the background color. So we're going to go in and we're going to turn the background color off, okay? So it's starting to look as it should. We know there wasn't a shadow on the other one, so we remove the shadow, okay? Easy. And then we're going to scoot on down to the desktop layout and we can see that we had an inside spacing. These were set to 0 and this was set to a -35. Okay, and it pushes it back up. So pretty much we've now reduplicated and moved that block over and then you just hit save. So I can take you through quickly as well at how to do this from a code editor access, but I just wanted to show you it doesn't need to take as long as what you think. Everybody goes, oh, it's going to take me forever to recreate that block. It doesn't. The trick is just to have them both open side by side and work your way through each of the steps. Okay, so it looks the same. I've copied the image over. I've got the same everything. The only difference is because we use different fonts in this particular page, and to deal with those, you'd have to go into your settings and into your style guide, but that's not the point. The point is we're just dropping it in because we wanted a similar look on this page and we now have it in there. Okay, so to use the code editor, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I'm going to back out of this page and we're just going to pop out here to where all our pages are, okay? And I've just named this as a dummy page at the moment and it says lesson, moving a section to another page. So let us open up in here our modified code. And again, you can only do this if you have code editor access in your Kajabi plan account. So, it's not going to work for everybody. So then what we're going to do is over here, before we can work out the code and what we need to do, we need to actually establish what ID this section is. So every section and every block that we work in Kajabi has what's known as an ID number. So when we're moving entire sections into another page and we want to use code editor, it's really important that we are going to click on inspect because we want to get into the background code, and we use the inspector tool. I'm using Chrome, so if you're using Mozilla Firefox, there's a similar tool that they use as well to be able to do this. And we need to grab the section ID. So to grab the section ID, as you can see, as we hover over the code in here on the right-hand side, as we hover over things, the left-hand side lights up into the blue. So this is telling us as I go over a particular line of code, it's pointing to the area that relates to. So we want to highlight the section that's now highlighted, and I can see that it's now done that here by this section here. So this is the section ID that I want here. Okay, so it's section 1619609278494. So somehow you're going to need to remember that. For me, the easiest way to remember that is I just remember the last 4 digits, 8494. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to need to back out of the page itself. We're going to open this up, because now we need to actually get into the code editor for this page as well. So this one is my Mint theme. So if I go in here into the code area, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to go into the config file and where it says settings data JSON. Okay, and you're going to see all of our code and everything that we have, all the data that we have in there. So it gets a little bit confusing, and this is what I'm saying to you. Sometimes it's quicker to do it the other way. I like to go and zip up by clicking on the arrows, all of the sections. So you can see this says sections, footer, header, and then the next one is exit pop. If you click on these arrows to zip them up, it just makes it a little bit easier when we're looking for things. So here's all our ID numbers that we can see starting to come into play. So just scoot on down and zip them all up, because we need to find the one that we wanted to find. And let's see if we can do that. So obviously, if there's a lot on the page, this can get very confusing. So now that we have them all zipped up, do you remember the number that we were looking for? It was, I think it was, where is it? This one in here. So it ends in 8494. So we're going to pop on over here, and we can see that we have this content for index. So the first part is sections, and then we have content for index. And what we're looking for is our 8494, and there it is there. So this is how we do it, okay? You're going to highlight the whole line where it says it, okay? You're going to copy it, and then you're going to pop over to the page where you want to place it. You're going to open up the config file. You're going to open up the data.json file. Then you're going to need to do exactly the same thing over here. So zip up all the components that you're not, so that we can actually see what we're doing. So we just zip them all up. Makes it easier so we can see. And here's our content, our index. Okay, so we can see we have the two, and you can just put them side by side so that you can see what you're doing. So we have our content for index. So what we want to do is add in this one, 8494. Now we can see that it has a comma after it. And when we're adding things into our index, unless it's the very last number, ID number, all other numbers will need to have a comma after it. The last one does not have a comma. So that we can see this actually work, we're going to go after, say, let's put it in the second spot and do a return. And we're going to paste in the code from over there, and it has the comma, and then we're going to click save. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is the order that they sit, the content for the index. This is the order. It doesn't matter about this, but this is the one that puts them in the order. And so that we can see the effect of this, I just want to plop it anywhere else on the page so you can see what happens when we do this. Okay, so now that we have our content for our index in, we need to pop back over to our old original page, and we need to then find the actual section with our number 8494. So we can see that's the only one, so we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to copy it, the whole thing, and then anywhere over here, make a space and pop it in. Now, when we copy it across, you're going to see that it will have opened up, okay? And you just need to make sure that we have the comma. Now, I always say to people, cross your fingers at this point in time when you hit save. And the reason I say this is because sometimes when we're copying a code block or a code section from one page to another, if the 2 pages that you're working in are not the same version of Kajabi, you can run into error codes, and this can cause all manner of errors, and it won't work. So that's number one. It's really important to make sure that the page you're moving from, the page you're moving from and the page you're moving to are the same. They have to be the same version number. And how you check the version number is in the schema. Okay, you can see here, if at the very top it says theme name Encore, theme version 2.1.0. So I would go over to my schema section under config over here, and I can see the same thing. So Encore 2.1.0. So technically they should be fine. We should get no errors whatsoever, and they're now copied across. So let's go have a look. What has happened to our page now, if we want to go and have a look at that page. So let us go back into Customize, and then we'll preview the page so we can see. So technically we now should have 2 of those blocks or the sections that we created in here. Okay, so here's the other one that we created. But you can see like how this one, like it's a little bit weird because now we've got the image isn't going over the top of the section above, where it does work on this one. So you just have to be careful things like that when you do bring things over. Even though we're bringing the code over, it can still sometimes not do everything that you want it to do. So like I said, for me, the jury's out. If I'm having to bring over an entire page or more than one section, like a few sections at a time, then this is actually going to save me time using Code Editor. If it's only one section that I'm recreating, typically I'll just recreate it. I won't bother going into the Code Editor and fiddling with the code at all. I'll just go and recreate it. So hopefully that has helped show how we actually move one section to another. But yeah, it's just working through each of the areas in Kajabi to make sure that you've brought over and you've got the same settings as you had previously. Okay, see how you go, guys.